Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Nanyang Championships American Qualifiers. Game number 2, Digital Chaos facing off against Infamous. It's going to be fabulous. I'm Lyrical, joined today by Gorgon, the Wonder Cow. Sir, how are you doing? We saw a bit of a stomp, and DC are actually going to be the ones that ban out Alchemist this time.
Yeah, they don't want to give it up if they're not going to have it, and I think that's pretty reasonable after seeing what he can do last game.
Yeah, it really just completely went out of control. You ended up being able to check the stats at the very end. 1296, the new record for GPM on that Alchemist. He completely tore them apart. Really, really impressive stuff. This time around, that does mean that we're going to leave open a couple of key heroes. Elder Titan is going to be the first pick overall by Digital Chaos.
They love this hero, man.
They really do. You know, this hero was like so garbage just a couple of patches ago, but really, really showing his stuff here now. And I think... Is it just the changes to Echo Stomp that's made him more viable, or is it a change in the meta that you think? What's been the big things that's brought about his sort of return?
There are a couple of factors. One of the factors is change the meta. There are more strength heroes, there's fewer agility damage dealers, and there's less focus on pushing extremely early into tier 2s. So all of those factors kind of combine for big AoE control out of the Echo Stomp, the percentage base damage out of Earth Splitter, again, it's more strength-oriented drafts, right? Also the fact that Natural Order is a percentage reduction on armor and a percentage reduction on resist, helps out percentage-based skills, once again, do very well into high natural HP pool heroes. All of that aside, you have, like I said, the change in the way that the game is paced, which means that Elder Titan is able to stay in the stage of the game that he really loves more, which is that stage where nobody really has a ton of items. They have to rely on their natural toolkit. Elder Titan naturally has a very valuable toolkit, but he doesn't scale with items nearly as well as most other heroes, right? So he's has the ability to get bonus speed, bonus damage. He's got a stun. He's got a scouting tool. He strips away armor. He strips away magic immunity, and he's got control. All of those aspects together mean that he does come out of this early game with quite gusto.
Well, we're going to see if he's going to be able to make it work for him here. They end up going back now for the Beastmaster Oracle, and then immediately into the Slardar response by Digital Chaos. I'm just going to go a little bit out on a limb here. Oracle, not the most common of first-round picks nowadays. We've seen that he's kind of fallen off in terms of his ability to really make the most of it, but I'm kind of wondering if they're going to end up going back for the Huskar now. This is something that I was floating the idea of yesterday.
They will.
It seems like this is the game for it if they're going to go for it.
They love that hero. Oracle's already here. Here's the deal, too, right? Infamous chose second pick. They actively chose second pick. The reason you actively choose second pick primarily is because it gives you last pick, right? Because of the recent changes in 687. So their Digital Chaos are going to ban the Huskar. If they did not see this coming, they would. The only reason they wouldn't ban that is if they hadn't done their research. Giving Infamous last pick, seeing the Oracle immediately out with the Beastmaster, there's no other options for ban. You have to go for him.
Man, and you know, it's really interesting. That's something that, like, again, the hero got so radically nerfed in the last couple of patches just because of how obnoxious he was, but still wanting to run it. I would really love to see Infamous be able to get Kaitaro Hayama onto one of those armlet toggling heroes, even if that ends up being a life stealer. I think that if it's a piece of your kit that just works so well, you got to at least try and go out on your own terms. You know what I'm talking about there?
Yeah, no, you want to go out with a bang, right? Not with a whimper. And a Lifestealer armlet on Kataro would be a bang. I mean, this guy really knows how to handle that item. It's a pretty good pick with the Beastmaster as well, right? You can do potentially Hawk Bombs and all sorts of cheeky stuff there. Oracle pairs relatively well with the Lifestealer. It's something that I think is very realistic in this game, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we do see the Clinks that's going to be banned out after the Invoker. Obviously, Huskar that we talked about, and Marana. As far as the other heroes that we might end up seeing, I mean, it's 3 strength heroes already. Do you think Phoenix is on the menu at some point here?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I've got. I mean, Phoenix, if not banned out, is almost always on the menu. He pairs well with any dish.
It's really great. I mean, I've been seeing, of course, staying up late and watching some of those Epicenter games. It's just all over the place here. It might be a little bit clunky to throw into this draft. It's not Elder Titan doesn't do anything really significant with Sunray, right? It's all just pure damage, so Natural Order doesn't really care about that much, right? I'm not missing anything
Right.
there? Okay.
I think that you are not missing anything there. Death Prophet actually going to come out here for Infamous. That gives them some mid game, some push. Death Prophet did get a little bit of nerf, but it's the Ancient Apparition going to come out in anticipation of Death Prophet's regen and a potential armlet toggler here. I think that's not an unreasonable pick for DC. But yeah, the way Death Prophet ended up taking a nerf, she does a little bit, or she steals a little bit less health, but she ends up doing a little bit more damage because of the intelligence changes. All things said and done, she has kind of fallen out of favor, but I think she's still extremely viable.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, the Ancient Apparition, pretty great against the Oracle, too. One other little component of that to make it work. Because this was the thing that I feel like we saw Liquid running a lot, too. Previously, it was like the DP Oracle strat, and you can still keep the HP stat at a certain mark. That's something I'm curious about. If you get Oracle Ultimate off, and then you start leveling those, the Purifying Flames over and over again, does that regen take place still through an AA ulti? I don't know if this is a really odd mechanic that we might just find out the answer to. Do you have any idea about that one at all?
All right. So the question is, if Oracle's ultimate False Promise is on a hero, and then that hero gets hit with Ice Blast,
yes,
will that hero receive any regeneration that occurs during Oracle's ultimate?
Yes.
Is that the question? I believe the mechanic is that if AA's ult wears off before False Promise does, then the heal will be taken.
Okay.
And if False Promise wears off first, then no heal will be taken.
Interesting. Well, and you look at these,
but I'm not 100% sure. It might be no heal taken in either case, but I'm like 75-80% sure that if AA's ult wears off before False Promise does, then you still get the heal.
Well, an interesting little dynamic about that is that before Aghanim Scepter, Frostbite lasts 8, scaling up to 10 seconds, whereas False Promise lasts, I think I said that one backwards, 7, scaling up to 9 seconds. So if you just wait 1 second after the AA ulti ends up connecting, if that is the way that it ends up working, then you can just False Promise them and they're not going to die, probably, which would be a kind of interesting dynamic there. And kind of broken too.
Yeah, I also don't know that what I'm even more unsure about, because Ancient Apparition and Oracle have not been popular at the same time ever. And I'm not an Oracle player myself, though I do play Ancient Apparition. I think False Promise will keep heroes up through Shatter, regardless. I don't think that they'll die to Shatter even if they drop below the 11% or whatever it is, right? So that by itself is kind of a nice little turn, if I'm right about that, which once again, I think I am. But at the same time, if the AA holds on to his ult until you are in a position where you're forced to use False Promise, he can do the same exact counter to you. Suddenly your ult keeps people alive, but will not save them, will not heal them up. It will just buy them a couple seconds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of Theorycraft, and we'll see also what ends up happening in the games, because there's a good chance that, these interactions might even not end up happening. Since we've been talking about those, Lion has also been taken, as well as the Magnus. Kind of an interesting pick. We don't see a ton of Magnus nowadays, but I like it. The only real change that I feel like ended up happening was that he got an Aghanim Scepter added to his pool. I don't think that we're going to be seeing that anytime soon, but the Wombo combo is certainly there, and this signals to me that it's either going to be, I'm assuming that this is going to be an offlane Slardar then?
Yeah, well, it could be it's probably an offlane Slardar with a 4-spot Elder Titan. Okay. Alternatively, it could be an offlane Magnus. That's something that we sometimes see. But that would be really weird because it means the Slardar is farming and then you still have a mid to come. It's not what I would expect. The other change that Magnus did receive is that he does get 1 more HP for every 2 seconds, just natural regen.
Oh, right.
Just not a ton, but it helps a little bit, right? Over a course of a minute, you're going to get 30 extra HP, which is 1 right click, and 1 right click is sometimes enough to keep you from dying to a gank. It's just one of those very little things that probably doesn't make him more viable, but certainly helps.
Interesting. I'm also looking at this now. We got the Battle Mage that's going to be popping into this game with the Spectre last ban against Infamous. So you got the early Empower to help it out a little bit, and as well as an Ember Spirit. There's a non-zero chance that this game could go a little bit late. Do you think the Digital Chaos... I mean, this looks like a fighting lineup for him. It looks like they just want to keep on battling around.
Yeah, especially with the Magnus combo, right? You throw everybody into an RP, you get them stomped, and then out of the stomp, you're going to go ahead and get a Slithering Crush and an Earth Splitter. Ancient Apparition comes overhead, and if anybody survives, they will all get hit while still stunned by the Anti-Mage ult. If they manage to land that on 3 or 4 heroes, it's just like, well, we just won the next 4 minutes of this game.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we're going to see how it ends up going. Again, the best of 3 series. DC already up 1-0. Can they bring it to a 2-0 against the team from South America, Infamous?
I have a quick correction. One of the chatters did go over to the wiki and said heal block has a priority over that from Ice Blast. Ice Blast still gets applied. So it still gets applied and doubled by False Promise. So yes, if Ice Blast wears off before False Promise does, then the heal will engage. We were right about that.
Wow, so pretty interesting interaction there. So that's a fairly strong counter to the AA. I'm not sure if the teams are fully aware of that interaction. It's one of those things that I feel like is just so esoteric that not many people end up seeing it all that often. But a little bit of a battle maybe brewing for this first initial rune. Weehaw, unfortunately, is not in a position where he's going to be able to cliff anybody since they took away almost all of those cliff spots.
Yes. Sorry, I was still going over the interaction in my head. Nobody posted anything about the shatter, but knowing that I was right about the first interaction has increased my confidence that I'm right about the second one. Especially since it would be really weird if you got the heal, but you could still shatter. So I'm now positive that you won't see shattering underneath Oracle's ult as well.
Well, here we go, a little bit of a start. They're going to go for the Echo Stomp, are going to be able to get it. Earth Spike comes through, they actually are going to be able to break that one, and meanwhile, the Anti-Mage was able to pick on up that rune, running away for the moment. They get First Blood onto the Oracle, and that was Elder Titan going down. And that was a little bit of an interesting trade. I mean, you still get the Anti-Mage with the Bounty Rune, but it hurts a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably not worth to be. I mean, you take what you can get, but giving up experience plus the First Blood gold to the entire opposition team, not going to be the laning advantage that Digital Chaos wanted.
Ooh.
And neither is this.
That was a little bit of a sketchy situation. So Weehaw took Skewer first, and then because of that did not have the ability to just sort of sit back and get the shockwaves off, and then I guess he was trying to skewer them under tower, but ends up just dying.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to get away at that point.
Right.
Just trying to save his life, because right, that's not a stun, it's just a stop.
Right.
So he's trying to skewer because he could not run. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite get it off fast enough. And already the Lion rotating up top and trying to make something happen here. They're going to do an aggressive tri lane. And to the Anti-Mage, I think that this is a pretty strong strategy. Anti-Mage, not exactly the strongest laner in the world, and they will be able to dive this tower. The tower shouldn't be aggroing people who are hit by an Echo Stomp, so if they do have creeps relatively nearby, they can feel somewhat safe diving this tower, with the exception of if Ancient Apparition is visibly around.
Yeah. Well, and you do see now that because of that, they're forced to back out. This, in spite of the fact that he took Skewer first, in spite of the fact that they had to get that first or second blood onto the Magnus, he's still doing pretty good in lane. 8-0 versus the 10-1, and that does mean that this AA can go up top here. A little bit of a battle as a Bruin. First one doing a little bit of damage. They get the clock onto several. That's going to be a dead Oracle. Maybe going to be able to find the line as well. 2 dead. Maybe going to make it 3 as Ember Spirit is going to get chased down, and they do find the kill. Double for the Anti-Mage in DC, off like a rocket.
Yeah. So yesterday we were casting a game with an Ancient Apparition, and I believe it was the game into an Alchemist that, similar to this, was into Infamous, if I'm not mistaken, right? Somebody picked an Ancient Apparition, and we had been hemming and hawing about how that Ancient Apparition should be used. And I mentioned that AA is really good in traditional tri lanes, or into try-on-tries, because of the amount of damage that Chilling Touch outputs, right? In a single lane, if he's by himself, he outputs an extra 150 damage with every cast. But with a dual lane, he does 300. With a tri-lane, he's doing 450. And so having an additional 2 heroes nearby, especially if one of them is the Elder Titan, who does get the additional move speed so he can keep up, and bonus additional attack speed on top, it can be very devastating to deal with that sort of damage output.
I gotta say real quickly, I love this up in the top lane. Resolution pops in, he accidentally ends up overstepping a little bit too far, gets stunned up, hit with all the Oracle shenanigans, and then gets killed off, and then immediately after he dies, he takes the point in Spell Shield, realizing that he might want that one. It's kind of an important ability, but yeah, it's again a very contentious lane. They're going to wrap around though onto the mid lane, able to get the stomp onto this DP, and after the setup there, they're going to use the skewer to find the kill. So Weehaw, redeeming himself a little bit in the mid lane, finds a kill.
We haven't talked a lot about this bottom lane, but I'm actually kind of surprised at how well Moo is doing down here. Into a Beastmaster. Beastmaster notoriously difficult to handle as a single melee hero in a one-on-one because of the bore slow and damage over time. He can really be a lane controller in a way that most offlaners can't, similar to how a Darkseer might roll, right? He's just very difficult to deal with over time as a melee hero, but Slardar is getting in and actually keeping toe-to-toe with him.
Yeah, doing a pretty great job of it too, and you take a look there, even on the CS charts. I will say that this sort of aggro lane here has been kind of, at first I was thinking that it was going to be a wash, but with those kills, it definitely has sort of turned it around a little bit. I think that it's still a little bit too early to tell who's this favoring too much, but they're keeping it cool, calm, and collect for the moment. And the fact that AA and the Anti-Mage have been able to make this happen without needing to have this Elder Titan around means that they can be much more aggressive in the mid lane. They're going to be able to maybe bring down the DP again. Spirit Siphon is still a good ability, bottling through, trying to run away, and I think that she might be able to make it out of here, or at least flirt with the idea of denying.
Oh, he guesses wrong.
That's a little bit unfortunate. They do have the stomp that's going to come out. They end up hitting, and that is going to be a final kill. But space created.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the TPs are for. Like, I get that they can't TP into their opponent's towers, but if the Death Prophet had some TPs into the mid lane, she probably wouldn't have had to run all the way to that side of the map. That was very wacky juke decisions from the Death Prophet. I mean, it makes sense that she was trying to dodge the stomp, trying to dodge the shockwave, but I'm not sure how she planned to extricate herself from way back there when the time came.
Well, and the thing that's kind of weird about it, too, is that, again, this Elder Titan, he's been able to just roam wherever the heck he wants, and they're not really able to punish it too significantly in the safe lane. I'd really like to be able to see maybe a little bit more aggression, but it's just not in the cards. And now they end up hitting another stomp here, going to be able to do a ton of freaking damage. This Ember Spirit, a nice hex, not going to be able to catch, and now Anti-Mage trying to find a little bit more nice Earth Spike. Slardar dies in the bottom lane, so a little bit of something is created, in spite of the fact that they were getting dove up top.
Yeah, so that dive up top coincided with a rotation from Oracle going bottom. It looks like Slardar hit 6 and decided to move on the Beastmaster to try and get a kill. Threw out that amplified damage and thought that he was going to be golden, not realizing that the Oracle was down there. They managed to grab that kill. They managed to do it without dying themselves, which is fantastic. I will say that I'm a little concerned for Infamous that they have invested so much into this top lane and have not stopped the Anti-Mage from getting more farm than Ember Spirit.
Yeah, it's a problem. I think that they've gotten a good amount of levels on their supports, though. If you take a look at it, Oracle is almost level 6 right now, with Lion being ahead of the other two supports. But the big problem with that, of course, is that Ember Spirit is below everybody else on his team in terms of experience. Not the biggest deal in the world, as you know, net worth is obviously more important, but he's not doing great in that respect either. I think he's going to need to catch up a lot, and maybe that happens through team fighting. Ember Spirit can be somewhat okay at making things happen with his remnants early, but yeah. I don't know, it's tough.
There are builds for the Ember Spirit that get him active much earlier than an Anti-Mage, right? So he could go into like a drums-oriented build instead of going for the Boots of Travel build and just try to continue to shut down the Anti-Mage, but they're going to invest very heavily.
Yeah, Roar goes down. They also get the stomp. That's going to be able to be a blink away, though. A really nice spike comes out looking for an RP. Oh, they end up getting him. Really nicely done there. It is not going to be able to get his ultimate off. And meanwhile, trying to run away for the moment. Can they find this kill? Soxa is going to end up going down. They do get a 3-person RP. Is it going to be enough, though? They don't have the follow-up skewer, and they're going to be able to stay alive. Meanwhile, a little bit of an odd situation as they're all trying to get out of there. Beastmaster's so low, as is the Ember Spirit, but no kill is going to come. And Weehaw walks away. Man, that was freaking close. On the other side, they do have DP who wanted to get in and is not going to be able to make it happen.
This is a game of limbo champions, man. They all went as low as you can possibly go. I can't believe that more people didn't die on both teams there.
Yeah, it's really freaking close. I mean, you look at the Magnus. He ended up being able to do 1,900 damage at 8 minutes into the game. Like, it was so close to being amazing and just didn't end up working out.
That Hex, though, coming from the Lion.
Oh yeah,
that was the moment where Infamous didn't lose the fight. That saved them. And honestly, if they had lost that fight, the entire early game would have split open against them. It would have been very difficult for them to come back.
This might be a kill. They get the stun. Oh, nice Earth Spike again. The Lion doing it for his team, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They had the amp damage there from Moo, and he ends up being able to take him out very close to being a turnaround. The Lion is doing just so much work in this game for them, but
somebody get this guy an ice cream cone or something. He's sitting at level 5, brown boots, that's it. He's a poor, hard 6 support right now, and he is just doing work.
And pretty soon, if he gets that experience to him, too, he starts to be a really strong force in terms of these fights and how they end up playing out. The Beastmaster might need to be the saving grace for them as well. Building towards that Necro Book is about to have the level 1, and he went for that rotation up with the Roar to find the kill in the top lane, but he's going to need to do so much more to help his team out here, as is the DP once she gets her ultimate up.
Yeah, it's interesting to me the way that Infamous have allowed themselves to kind of be kited into these fights with knowing that the Elder Titan is just, once again, his base kit is designed to work without items, but it isn't designed to work particularly well with items. This is the period in time where he really wants to be fighting.
Oh, pretty nice play there as well. Gets the Fate's Edict off, which means that magical damage is not going to come through onto the Oracle. Walking away for the moment. Ember Spirit is up front in Misery's face. Gets the chains off onto 2. Maybe going to be able to find a little bit more. They burn through the shield and now looking for a kill. Almost able to get him. Saksa just barely walking away. They get the kill on the Ancient Apparition on the other side. The Spike is going to connect onto the Anti-Mage. Can they find another one? Roar is down. I think that they're going to be able to get this. And oh, a really nice stomp comes out from Saksa, saving his life again. Meanwhile, a jump in RP connects onto 2. They're not going to be able to find the kill on any of these heroes. Weehaw might go down, though, as finally the DP comes in, saves the day, and I think that might be the swan song for that fight.
Yeah, finally, but they did manage to shut down the Ember Spirit there. It took a trade of the Magnus. It's not the end of the world. Ember Spirit sitting very low on the net worth chart.
Oh my god,
okay, that was
Oracle.
weird. Jeez. Talking about the Lion, this guy wants some commendations himself.
Yeah, doing a really great job with it. Oh, AA Blast? He might kill off the Oracle. No, he has Fate's Edict and also his ulti. Yeah, he's good. He's good to go.
Even if he didn't, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have dropped down. That level 1 ult is not, honestly, it's not usually a kill shot, unless you literally kill them when it lands.
Well, again, it's kind of an interesting spot that we found ourselves in. A very even game. As far as we move into the later stages, these are 2 heroes that can scale incredibly well in the Ember Spirit and the Anti-Mage, but with the changes that Anti-Mage has found where he starts to go into these Vanguards occasionally, do you think that he's going to be able to fight with the rest of his team here?
So I normally do not like this build very much. I think that it's ineffective, that it doesn't scale well and doesn't give him the damage, but remember, he doesn't need to get a Battle Fury this game because you have Empower. And I was trying to come into this a little bit earlier, but we had so much action we couldn't really talk about it too much. This shouldn't be any activity. Okay, so the fact is, even with the aggressive tri-lane, if Infamous did completely shut down this Anti-Mage, which they really didn't, it's to limited effect because Anti-Mage will still be able to catch up with the Empower much faster than a normal Anti-Mage would. So shutting down this Anti-Mage in this lineup doesn't do nearly as much for you as shutting down an Anti-Mage in a typical lineup would.
Okay, interesting. Well, that's something that I think it's always hard to come into a game with the preconception of a hero, and then that ends up getting changed. Oh no, Kateru Hayama is maybe going to go down. The A Blast is going to connect. I don't think he's going to go down though. He was able to get off his Flame Guard and should be able to survive through that. So a nice little play, and Weeha is going to get wrapped around on as well. They might be looking for some more. That was an Earth Splitter that went off, I think. But yeah, Weeha should be dead now. Earth Spike, Finger of Death comes out, and a quick and easy one for them as they're going to move towards that mid tower.
And Roshan seems to be the trade attempt here. With the Exorcism up, there's not a lot that you're going to do to defend that tower anyway. Seems reasonable to move into Roche with the negative armor coming from the Slardar. I'm just not sure that they have the damage, to be honest.
Put it to sleep. Yeah, it's a little bit strange. I mean, Anti-Mage is relatively tanky. I mean, he's got that Vanguard. They also are now going to go into the Chilling Touch, and that amps up the damage ever so slightly. But meanwhile, Tier 2 Tower is being pressured. They go for the Glyph. The Exorcism is about to wear off, so they are going to need to back up at this stage. But Roshan will be going their direction, and Anti-Mage gets out on very little. Does he blink into that Lion, though? It doesn't look like it.
I honestly don't know that the Chilling Touch does increase damage against Roshan, because he's got, what, like 55% magic resist or something like that?
That's true.
And it slows your attack speed by 20%. So
there's some math there, I'm sure. Oh,
yeah.
Moo, running, gonna maybe get caught out for that one. He went for the jump and doesn't end up finding it. DP finds the kill. And suddenly, Misery is going to hide away, but they've found him. He does end up going down. That was rather close. His chains had already been used. But they find the kill nonetheless.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty good for Infamous. They're starting to scale into the game pretty well. They are going to go, it looks like, for the Boots of Travel on the Ember Spirit, not a more combat-oriented item. At this stage, it's honestly a toss-up for me which one of those would be better. If they did get a combat-oriented item, they would be able to collapse onto these towers more effectively. But going for the Boots of Travel is going to give them much more scaling into the late game. Uh-oh. That's trouble.
Well, Earth Splitter as well as the RP, that's going to be curtains for the Ember. Unfortunately, he got the Remnant out, but wasn't able to use it quite in time, and so he ends up paying for that one. He did not buy out either. That really hurts.
Yeah, well, you know, he would only be able to buy out if he had the 2,000 gold
Right.
for his boots. Well, another one of the problems with going for the boots is, you know, you can't buy out your unreliable gold if you are going to go down. Vlad's is almost done for the Anti-Mage. And Necro 2 is already done for the Beastmaster. Taking a look at some other items. We've got an Ether Lens actually up on the Oracle as well. And Blink Dagger on the Slardar. We already saw that revealed. Nothing really to... Oh, Blink Dagger just got sent out to the Magnus. It will be here for the next fight.
Ember also going to be looking for this Anti-Mage. He's in a little bit of trouble. They've got the Empower down as well. That root held him in place for a moment, but not going to be able to do it too much more as the Oracle did not channel it at all. And there wasn't really any great way for them to find a kill. Nice crush onto 2. They're going to be able to follow this up with the Stomp. These are going to be 2 heroes very rapidly dead. Huge plays coming out, and you're seeing the synergy at work. That was a really nice combo.
Just a great initiation potential. All of the amplify damage, both from the now level 2 natural order and the actual spell amplify damage, in synergy with the Ice Blast, making it so that these heroes can't heal up. And I mentioned it in the draft, just shutting down this Death Prophet's ability to heal either with the Drain or with the Exorcism. That is big, because she is not super survivable without those 2 spells keeping her bolstered up.
Oh, on the backside, though, they're going to be able to catch onto the Elder Titan. He goes down. They break it. They're not going to be able to get him, and it looks like the Oracle should be able to walk away from this one for the moment, but still so much damage. Anti-Mage running away. They find the kill, and it looks like he is going to be able to survive through this. They're trying to find another one. Weehaw dropping low, but not dead. He turns it back around. He's actually getting healed up. They missed the crush, but it's not going to matter. Still chasing after this Magnus, looking for the kill. Are they going to be able to find it from afar? That is not going to kill. The Q from the DP does not finish him off. And now the final score is 3 for 2. I thought that it was going to go better, but the Elder Titan game picked at the beginning just wasn't enough.
The Elder Titan not being able to sustain in that fight, right? Not just being available in that way. And Anti-Mage turned out, it's probably the right call to leave that fight because it didn't look like it was going well, but he did have the Aegis. So if he was able to get his opponents to focus on him by being a little more brash, it might have saved the Magnus, and he would have respawned, and maybe they could have counter-engaged at that point. But either way, diving almost to tier 2s is just... you guys are ahead in terms of map control, but you're not that far ahead in terms of overall pacing. Right?
Was it the Earth Spike that broke the RP from the Magnus? Like, it was so close to coming out. I wasn't sure if it was that or maybe a roar getting popped or something, but he wasn't able to get that RP out at the perfect time.
Yeah, I heard it starting to go off, but I was watching this outside of the fight when that was happening, waiting for the counter initiation, so I didn't actually catch which spell it was. Ooh. So I don't know who to give the blue ribbon to, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
But yeah, look at this Anti-Mage. He doesn't have to go for the Battle Fury. He's just farming up absolutely spectacularly with the Empower. He's now well on top of the net worth, and the Magnus is just following him around, casting off that Empower and allowing him to farm out the lanes, the jungle, everything he wants. He's going to be able to go directly into Yasha.
Oh, we're looking at this right now, and speaking of the Magnus, his RP is still available if they want to use it. Drop in fairly low. This Oracle does so much freaking damage, but is not going to get caught with the Stomp, already having committed that one. They end up being able to get the RP solo onto the Oracle. That's a little bit of hate going back his way, but pretty nice. Now first one also getting chased down. They've got the Roar. They're going to be able to drop it onto him. The Necrobuck's already gone, though, and really nice Earth Splitter connects onto two. There's going to be so much damage, and 3 are already dead. They killed off the Anti-Mage, but is it going to be enough? I don't think so. The Beastmaster goes down. Too much freaking damage coming out from that Slardar at that amplified damage, and they end up losing 4. I don't think that was worth it at all for that Anti-Mage.
No, for the Anti-Mage, no, but for the team, yeah, it works out pretty well, right? I mean, 1,800 gold net worth swing for DC. That's okay.
Yeah,
and
I meant that it wasn't worth it for Infamous to kill the Anti-Mage there.
Oh, yeah. No, that's definitely true. Now that I understand your sentiment, I agree with you, good sir. That was a poor
I'm glad
decision.
you called me out
Infamous.
on it.
You know, I'll let people slide with some stuff, but a 1,600 gold swing or whatever it was, that's usually pretty good.
They're doing a pretty great job. I mean, you look at this, Infamous were off to a good start, and it feels like DC has just been able to team fight their way back into this, doing a great job of it. How do Infamous need to respond at this point? Do they need to try and group up again and go for towers and just not overextend into trying to go for high ground, or what's the play?
I don't think that they can take tier 2s reliably right now, and I think if they do try to, they'll probably find some engagements like the last one. So I think the play for them is go into their opponent's jungle with smoke, get some wards up, get some reliable vision, and make sure they're scouting with the Hawk very regularly. Try to force the Anti-Mage kind of back into his shell a bit with the threat of ganks and open up space for the Ember Spirit. Buy a little bit of time, especially if you can force the Anti-Mage to dive away from farm fairly regularly. You can help the Ember Spirit catch up a little bit, get him some core items, because right now he's still sitting on no combat items whatsoever. He's only got sustain and travel items.
Well, we'll see if they're going to be able to do that. The 4-person smoke behind AM, and they're looking mid. They scan. Oh, pretty nicely placed scan right there, realizing what was going to be coming their direction, and that is going to signal to Infamous to all back out. What do you think about this Beastmaster? He's going back for Vladimir's offering at this point, looking for more of those sustain and push type of items. Oh, God, they're not going to be able to catch him. Roar is dropped as well as thinking about the RP, but I don't know why he stayed there. And now also going to find another kill. Lion just goes down. DP's in the midst of all this. What is happening? Why are they taking this fight? They might be able to kill off the Slaughter there, but I'm not sure if it's enough. They get off the false promise at the last second, so DP is going to survive throughout this, trying to heal back up. They end up being able to drop the RP. The huge Mana Void comes through. AM destroys them all. Why did they fight there?
You're very right? They scanned that. They knew what was happening. They had gotten everybody kind of out of the area. And then they acted like the survivalist dudes that tie themselves to telephone poles in hurricanes. Like they knew what was coming, but they hung out anyway. Just because? It did feel like the Beastmaster thought he was safe up on the high ground. And it felt a little bit like he didn't expect them to actually be that interested in coming over and scouting on. He thought that he could hang out up there, see them coming if they were going to come, and then everything would be okay. Why the rest of the team decided to re-engage after he got caught out is I can't even justify that with a thin veiled justification like the one that I just came up with him.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, again, it's so hard to know exactly what's going on in the players' heads at any given point in time, just because we have complete and total information about what's going to happen. But they did see the scan. They might have thought, all right, AM is just going to go farm out our jungle. Little did they know, they ran back in towards that mid lane, looked for a kill, and Blink Dagger is a good item at being able to catch people. They actually didn't even have to use the RP. He roared up the Magnus, which saved the RP so they could use it later and then turn it into that huge Mana Void coming out from the Anti-Mage. So a really unfortunate series of events, and we're looking at this net worth lead now. It's starting to spiral a little bit out of control. 7,500 lead for DC, as well as right around 10,000 experience, and they're doing a freaking fabulous job playing this game.
Yeah, so at the We Play LAN, less than 10% of all matches had a greater than 5,000 net worth lead before the 25-ish minute, and only 3 out of 37 of the games did a team that had a 5,000 net worth lead at any point in the game lose, or did a team. So Those are early in the patch stats, but we are still pretty early in the patch, and it does show you that even though it doesn't seem like maybe from those numbers Infamous are unbelievably behind, they are much farther behind than those numbers would have implied on 686 or prior.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing is this is going to continue to sort of go out of control slightly. You got this Ancient Apparition now who's also going to be able to pick up his Hand of Midas and is going to start to get those levels. Level 2 ulti online now. They're smoked out, looking for a kill, and they might actually end up running into a couple heroes. They jump forward, catch on a Weehaw, but the rest of his team is right behind him, going for the stomp now. They aren't going to be able to catch on to anybody. This is actually a really good fight right now for Infamous. They're going to be able to kill off two, and now DC need to back out. That was a pretty good combo for them, the fact that they were able to kill off both of those.
Yeah, getting anything is what they need, right? It doesn't really matter who they kill. It just matters that they kill somebody for Infamous.
They want to defend Roche. This is a pretty big point in time. If they get Aegis onto Infamous here, are they going to pop Exorcism?
Yeah, they will. And Elder Titan's pretty good at zoning out in Roche, but he has got to actually get down here. They're not going to have the reverse polarity for this either.
They catch. Thank Mom Moo. He gets caught out for the moment. Ember's going to jump forward. He's healing back up so quickly. Armwatalgi trying to make it happen. They heal back up. Lion is not going to drop. The Mana Void explodes the Oracle on the other side, though, and is going to be able to blink away. I think he's still dead. They jump in now, looking for the Roche. They're going to be able to find it. A Blast is going to come through, connects onto two. They get Roshan, but they might end up losing a little bit more. Is Beastmaster going to end up popping? It looks like he just might, but yeah, he dies back in the base. So Ancient Apparition finds that one. 3 for 2, but they did get the Aegis.
That's actually a really great fight for Infamous. It looks on the surface like it was pretty negligible, but consider that they did get the Aegis, right? They did force the buyback out of the Elder Titan, and they also got the Anti-Mage, whereas they did not lose the Ember Spirit. So in terms of fights that you could have expected, that was better than I think Infamous had a right to expect.
I mean, now you're starting to see Ember Spirit, Boots of Travel. He's got himself his Battle Fury as well. There's been a couple of dubious moments with his Remnants where it's like, is that really the play that you need to do? But it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. The one thing that I would say is that it's going to maybe be a bit of a tough game with the possibility of Slardar just jumping in and finding him with a crush. He needs to be really on point with his Remnants away.
Yeah. It's also, remember, the Remnant speed is dependent on the speed of Ember Spirit. So if they do manage to get some slow action onto him with the Ancient Apparition's Ice Vortex or something like that, it also is going to help them catch him out. It will make it much easier to land the Stomp. It will make it much easier to land the Slithering Crush.
Rezo now, he's been able to finish off his Manta-style Vanguard as well as the Vlad's 2,600 gold in the bank. As far as items go, is it too early to think about Abyssal, or is that worth it with the proclivity that we've been seeing for the Mana Void to just be absolutely ridiculous?
Yeah, it's absolutely his next item. Okay. There's no doubt about it in my mind. For the Anti-Mage to be going anywhere else would be silly. I mean, what you would normally see him do before the Abyssal in a game like this is he would normally go into the Battle Fury, but he's got Magnus, so he does not care for that item at all. He's just going to skip it completely in his progression.
Well, Magnus now, speaking of him, the Force Staff, Blink Dagger, Lotus Orb, this could be a really big play if they're able to catch on to several smoked up. They do not spot them out right now, and now with the Hawk up above, they are going to. So not going to be able to find a big RP as of yet. Maybe if the fight develops a little bit more, they're going to be able to do it. Magnus actually just jumps forward. I missed that one. The Oracle popped like a freaking something. I don't know what. He died really quickly.
He's popped like a balloon on the Hindenburg.
There it is. I knew I could count on you for the analogy. Oh, Force Staff, but not going to be able to get the not going to be able to get the Blink Dagger, and it looks like they are going to be able to escape for the moment.
Yeah, they need to be very cautious about how they are choosing to engage, because Ember Spirit, he is second on top of net worth now. He does have an Aegis, but in terms of his combat items, he still only has the Battle Fury. He hasn't been able to leverage that into enough farm to be combat ready yet. Until we see him get combat ready with another fairly decent damage item, I don't think that Infamous are going to be comfortable taking fights that don't start with a pick in their favor.
Well, we're going to see if they're going to be able to make that happen. You can see right there also up in the top lane, that was what the Lion and the Beastmaster were waiting for. They had the Ward in the area as well as the Hawk that was scouting things out, and if there was just one of DC there, I'm sure they would have jumped on him. As far as next set of items that are going to be coming out also, like for the DP already has that the ultimate orb. Is this going to end up translating into a Lincoln Sphere eventually, or thinking about like a sheep stick maybe? What's your thought there?
I think she's considering a sheep stick for the anti-mage, right? That seems to be the most reasonable pick in as far as I'm concerned, right? Not only that, but the intelligence is going to ramp up her spell damage, which is nice when you do so much. And they don't really have a ton of control. This Lion's been doing a really good job, but he's it, unless you want to blow Beastmaster's ultimate, and you have it off cooldown. He is all of their control.
Man, not at all afraid. He has the haster, and he just runs at that Ancient Apparition, so Lion very bold indeed.
This Lion is a straight-up baller, man. You can't slow him down. He's got the little Sonic the Hedgehog speed trail behind him. He's ready to go. He wants blood.
Absolutely. Well, that is going to be the sheep stick. Meanwhile, down here bottom, Anti-Mage pushing in the wave. They are going to need to respond to this. They can take this tower relatively quickly if a fight starts. And actually, instead, we're going to see Weehaw move on back. They're going to jump forward, able to build off that Elder Titan, but the counter initiation is going to be there, bringing him fairly low. Beastmaster turns back around, able to get that off, but the BKB, a really nice RP, is going to follow it up and might be able to catch on to two. The skewer back, a lot of damage going their direction. A nice Earth Spike from the Lion, but it's all for naught. Ember Spirit, I don't think is going to be able to clean this up, but with the help of the DP, they might be able to. First one pops his Manta Style, trying to run away, but he still ends up going down. Meanwhile, looking for a little bit more. A nice Yule Scepter, going to keep him alive for the moment. Ember Spirit looking for more, finds the Misery. 3 are dead on both sides. Weehaw as well as Moo trying to run away, and now they're going to turn their sights for that tier 2 tower, ready to take something off the back of it.
That probably wouldn't have swung the fight completely, but imagine if Oracle's ultimate had gone off 1/3 of a second later, if he had had the patience to wait until he could cast it so that the AA ult would end first, as we had been talking about in the draft, because he didn't. AA's ult lasted longer than his.
And Weehaw, unfortunately here, if it goes for the 4-7 and the skewer away, yeah, I know what you mean. That would have been so freaking close if they would have been able to get that. And the AA blast coming through, like, I do have to say that I'm still concerned. What do you think the reason it is going for the mechanism over the Aghanim Scepter on the Ancient Apparition?
It's very high combat. The Aghanim Scepter is a very expensive item to grab, and yeah. I think since he has been... the jungle farm is not really there for an Ancient Apparition. And one of the ways that you do get up the AA Ag Scepter is that he kind of hangs in the background farming out the jungle, sometimes with a Midas. And he just throws his ult into these fights. He's been much more effective being near the fights and throwing down a Chilling Touch than his ult would be being a couple of seconds longer. It is an item that he will go for eventually. He does have the Midas, but...
Oh my god, they just killed off the Anti-Mage. He went really deep for that one. The A Blast comes in and he just gets exploded. I mean, that was really good play as well by the Beastmaster. He was able to identify which one was the real Anti-Mage as he was sort of separated from the herd a little bit, and they find the kill with the turnaround. Really big plays, and now 50 seconds without their Anti-Mage. You're going to be able to take this tower, tier 2 tower.
He does have buyback if he needs it, so it probably won't scale into a tier 3, but... he needs to be careful. One more of those sorts of engagements, and this game really could swing out of their favor. It is going their way pretty well, but it's by no means out of control for Infamous. Like I had said 3 or 4 times now, all they need to do is kill somebody. If they kill somebody, they're in a winning position. And
now you're looking at high ground. This is going to be the DP ulti. They're doing a lot of damage with that natural aura that's continuing to go, and this tier 3 is going to be down very, very rapidly. I don't know. Do they just back out at this point? I feel like if you're Infamous, you might want to just think about retreating.
They're going to try to wait out as much of the Exorcism as they can, but it might be a mistake.
Oh, barely going to be able to dodge away from that A Blast. It does not connect onto him, and meanwhile, the RP not going to hit either. Oh, that really hurts. They're looking for more here with the Anti-Mage. They end up being able to get the chains there, but the Echo Saber, or rather the Echo Shell, is going to keep Slardar alive. They remnant away, and they are going to be able to find this DP here, but getting healed back up, she is finally going to fall. Meanwhile, they spot out that means the Oracle is here as well. He's going to drop, but I think that's well worth it for a Tier 3 tower.
I'm not sure why that Oracle tried to save that DP, because even if he did manage to save the DP there, it would have been for a moment, like a blink of an eye, and she would have died anyway. And he definitely gave away his position. He had blinked into the trees. They wouldn't have seen him. They wouldn't have known that he was there. It was a little bit too much compassion from that support.
They've just been saving their carries all game long. I've been really impressed with the support play here. We went into this talking about Kateru Hiyama, who's been playing now on the Ember Spirit, and he's been having a great game. But for me, the standouts have definitely been the Oracle and the Lion. It's heroes that have the capability to shine in this type of a game.
Yeah, you had said during the draft that this game could go very late, and for a little while there was looking like Digital Chaos were going to be in a position in order to just kind of snag it. But right now it is starting to look pretty realistic that Infamous could drag this out, and it could go either way.
Absolutely. I mean, Anti-Mage still has a long way to grow as far as his damage is concerned, but he's not... I mean, we've talked about the Empower being able to be a part of this, but he's still, at times, having to push out these lanes sort of slowly in a way that normally if he had a Battle Fury, it just wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, there is that downside, and in fact, we've actually seen Weeha literally just follow him around so that he can cast Empower for some of these lane pushes. That does kind of constrict the strategic options that they have. But on the plus side, they got going much earlier in this game than they otherwise would have, which allowed them to shut down the Ember Spirit, who otherwise would have come into the game faster. So, it's a trade-off that I think they are more than willing to make. They're going to try to bait out Resolution here. I don't think Infamous are going to buy into this, though.
It's very scary, and he did realize nobody else shown on the map. There's something afoot. Let's back out for the moment, and the Battle Fury and Daedalus available. He's going to be in an okay position to push out this creep wave, and I'm kind of curious at this stage if you think about going in for a tower or a barracks push. I mean, they've got Boots of Travel on Ember. He can be there. I guess that they're going to bring back the Oracle, so probably not.
Yeah, well, there is Aegis on the Anti-Mage, and I think the longer this game goes, the less the farm differential between the Anti-Mage and the Ember Spirit will mean. Because as the game goes on, 3,000 gold becomes a lower and lower percentage of your overall farm and your overall itemization. Ember now does have a Daedalus up, and if they can continue to drag this out, the Ember Spirit realistically will be able to outsplit push the Anti-Mage, if nothing else, and make it relatively uncomfortable for Digital Chaos to have not taken a barracks.
We'll see if that is going to end up coming back to haunt them a little bit. I still think it was probably the correct decision for them to back out earlier. And again, they're sort of playing this dangerous game here as they're looking to see if they can find a pickoff. But DC playing as 5 consistently. They do not want to get caught out. And it looks like the Beastmaster up here. Oh, God, you are... Ugh. They're going to back out. He realizes this is a problem. Looking for the stun, not going to find it, though.
Very close. Not quite able to get in. Yeah, this grouping up makes a lot of sense for DC. They aren't hurting on items. The one hero that they really want to get more farm on that otherwise might be able to get it is the Ancient Apparition, right? Because if he gets that Ags, that would be a pretty big bolster to their overall team fight. But he's got a Midas. Everybody on their team is level 16 already, so they don't have to worry about experience differentials. And Moo is almost there. One bash when he comes out of Hex. Oh, he couldn't quite get it.
Really nice TP, able to get himself out of trouble. Ember Spirit split pushing the whole time through. Meanwhile, up here in the top lane, Magnus looking for something a little bit more. Can he find it? One for the skewer, but not able to get it, and it does look like they're going to be able to survive through that onslaught. A lot of damage coming out. Are they going to be able to keep him back? There's the silence. Echo's Shell is going to keep him alive and make sure that he's able to blink away from trouble. But again, they're making this hold happen without the Lion there, so now that he's going to be coming back and capable of making an initiation, you got to be a little bit careful if you're DC.
Yeah, the Aegis is something that they want to push and utilize, but they also don't want to be overly aggressive and make a mistake just because they have the Aegis. They've got realistically about a minute and 25 seconds in order to make the engagement with the Aegis, because you don't want to take it right when it's about to expire, in case your hero is relying on it and then dies right as it expires, right? So they're running out of time for it. They might just use it here if the Anti-Mage gets caught out by a Primal Roar, though.
Oh, they're not realizing where he is. If they knew that he was right there, and now they do.
Oh, he's baiting him in. He's baiting him in.
Glimmer looking for more. Might be able to get it. They've got the rest of the side of DC that's marching into territory, though. If they were able to hit a really good RP off the back of this could be game-winning potentially. Jumps Abyssal Blade, nice Force Staff. Hex as well. RP only connects onto one, but it might be enough. They get the turnaround. They end up being able to find the Crush with Moo. Lion dropping low. They get the Roar into Weehaw. Might be able to turn this back around if they get the Exorcism out. Exorcism pops. There's the Yule Scepter, keeping her alive for the moment. And oh my god, she is freaking gone. In the top lane, Ember Spirit is pushing, but I don't know if it's going to be able to be enough to dissuade them from taking this barracks of their own.
Yeah, I mean, even if, well, up top, they will lose a barracks. I don't think that there's any way around that. But down here, there's no buyback on the Death Prophet, and they're about to figure that out because she would be buying back right now if they had it.
This is such a nice play as well by this Beastmaster. Look at him. He's cutting the creep wave. They actually don't have creeps right now. Is backdoor protection enabled? It doesn't look like it as of yet, and Ember Spirit is still pushing. So he took the lane of barracks. They are going to lose the melee and the ranged over here. Maybe trying to find another. The skewer doesn't quite hit, or does this crush, but it's fine for the moment. And they need to respond to this at some point. They're not going to have the Exorcism when DP comes back up, and she doesn't have buyback, so this is actually a huge problem right now. DP not having buyback really hurts.
Yeah. They aren't going to be comfortable pushing any further, even though the DP doesn't have buyback. The damage that comes out of that Ember Spirit could be difficult. They're going to bait him out. What is he doing?
Oh, God. The Glimmer Cape, it's not going to be able to keep him alive. It looks like he's going to end up going down. They get the Abyssal, and he pops. Ember Spirit does have buyback, but they don't want to have to use it right now. DP is going to be back up in a second. Honestly, this is such an unfortunate situation for the side of Infamous. They jump in, are going to be able to blow up the Oracle. He has to buy back now. Multiply ends up getting bashed. Can they find anything else off the back of this one? A lot of damage going down onto that Anti-Mage. Finds a bash, is going to be able to find it onto Beastmaster. No mana for war, no mana for nothing. And now also Moo, controlled for the moment, doesn't get the crush off, eats the cheese, still trying to drain him away, but they're fighting at this situation. I'm not sure if it's going to end up going their way. They're going to be able to get a really nice Echo Stomp. No, they end up being able to break it. Well played there by the Lion, and trying to run away for the moment. They're seeing if they can find anything with this DP, and on the backside, they're kind of split into two forces and not going to be able to find any kill onto DC. Ember Spirit's looking for more, but they're just not going to be able to get it.
All right, that was that Ember Spirit leaving his base and being baited into that engagement is honestly, at this level of play, that's almost unforgivable. The fact that they didn't lose there is a stroke of luck beyond what I think Infamous really could have hoped for. They cannot afford another mistake like that. Like, nowhere even close to that level of a mistake. If this Ember Spirit dies again, the game's pretty much over. Right. Unless he takes with him the Anti-Mage and probably one other hero.
I will say, though, that as I'm looking at this, the final takeaway is you've got your barracks in the mid lane for Infamous, and they traded a barracks top and bottom. So it's not the end of the world, but I kind of, I'm almost wondering if we end up getting into like a base race situation. You got Boots of Travel on the Beastmaster. He's got the Inner Beast Aura, which is going to do a ton of freaking damage. There's a possibility that they could just try and backdoor the tier 4s later on in the game.
Yeah, in terms of who wins a base race,
yeah,
I think probably Digital Chaos come out slightly ahead there if they're in the base already and their opponents have to TP out. But it would be a tough call. Mm-hmm. And it also depends on if the Death Prophet happens to be in their base, right? Because she doesn't have Boots of Travel, and she's their main pusher. If she gets Boots of Travel later on in this game, then a base race would be very difficult for Digital Chaos.
I'm kind of surprised right now that Infamous are also trying to move out against this. They don't have buyback on their heroes, and meanwhile you see that on the side of DC they most certainly do. So they need to be really careful. It looks like Ember is going to TP away, and meanwhile Anti-Mage moving very far forward. Can they burst him down? They end up being able to pop the Exorcism, dropping very low. They might be able to kill him off, but they end up being able to get the Echo Shell off first. and now he's just going to be able to run away from them for the moment. BKB pop from Moo, looking to be able to get the bash, but the Glimmer Cape's going to be able to keep the DP alive. Ember Spirit is back in the fray. On the other side, that's going to be a dead line, and meanwhile, up here on the top, Ember trying to stay alive against this. They are going to be able to find a kill. RP ends up finally coming. The A-Blast is going to go as well. They are going to be able to find that one, and at least 2 are dead. No more DP ulti. I don't think that Ember has enough damage to be able to turn this one all the way back around. He's still invisible for the moment, but now they've been able to find him, and he is finally going to drop. Triple kill right now for the AM. No buyback on several of these very core heroes, and potentially this could be their opening to take at least another lane of barracks.
Yeah, I think this is probably a good game. It would be very weird to see Digital Chaos back out here with a 90-second buyback. They know Ember Spirit has no buyback. They know Death Prophet has no exorcism. I just don't see what tools they have at their disposal in order to turn this situation around.
Well, and we're going to see if they can do it. Again, DP is going to be available with the buyback, and unfortunately the best part of her kit is not available. She does not have an exorcism for another 70 seconds, and the lineup of DC can just always fight. Like, RP or not, they're still really capable of having a great initiation, and even when they're back up, they're going to have it, as we do see the Glyph get popped. I think this is going to be about it. Actually going for a play in the back. Beastmaster is here. They're going to be going for a bit of a base race. There's a non-zero chance that this actually ends up working out. Can they break TPs? They're going to be able to take that one out. RP is there. They end up being able to roar himself, unfortunately. Ancient is starting to fall, and that does look like the Beastmaster is going to drop. Unfortunate. They were looking for something pretty great, and it didn't end up working out for them. BKB pop for the AM. They lost their tier 4s, but Mega Creeps are on deck for DC. Oh.
Infamous didn't lose, right? Infamous could have lost there, and they did not lose. So in terms of Pyrrhic victories, that's the best one you could have possibly given. You could be dead and you're alive, at least for a little bit longer. They have an Ember Spirit. Mega Creeps are difficult to come back from, but the probability of coming back from Mega Creeps is substantially higher than the probability of coming back from your Ancient already having been destroyed.
That's true enough. I mean, again, the question is, like, what's their win condition? It's so hard for them to get back into this game because now all of the lanes are going to be pushing, so that potential for going for some type of a rat play is just not going to be there. And this is going to be a tough one. They jump forward, find the Oracle, exploded, and now they jump, able to catch onto this DP, just evaporated as well. Ember Spirit doesn't stand a chance. It's death and damnation in the Radiant base. GG finally ends up getting called as DC Echo stomp their way to victory. Really well played across the board.
Yeah, well, I did say it was a long shot, and it was just a moment of breath, but for Infamous, the last-ditch effort from the Beastmaster was nice. They did have several very nice plays. They did come back into the game in a way that I think most teams would not have. They will be going down to the lower bracket, I believe, here tomorrow, or maybe a little bit later tonight. We're going to see them. I'm not sure exactly when, but
they are going to be playing tomorrow versus Team Freedom. Infamous will. Meanwhile, DC will move on and face off against the Shazam. A little bit of a rematch from a little event you might have heard of, the Manila Major Qualifiers.
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a good game. But we've got, I think, one more best of one for you guys tonight, right?
Absolutely, yeah. One more best of one. That's going to be taking place a little bit later on. Enemy GG facing off against Dragneel in the lower bracket. I'll give you some information about when that's going to take place. Again, follow us on Twitter if you feel so inclined, at Lyrical Dota, at the Wonder Cow. But more importantly, make sure that you continue following the tournament Nanyang Championships here on BTS channel. See you guys in just a little while.